So in today's video, I want to talk about relationships, and I want this video to be quicker. However, I do need to make a couple announcements. So if you're not interested in what I have to say, check the timestamp right here, move on forward. But I'm going to quickly say really quick. Wow. I do want to quickly say that my video uploads have been a little sporadic. It's been like 3 a week and then nothing for a week and then 1. That's because I'm working on trying to create different types of content for you guys. Y'all know I have been doing this kind of like sitting in front of a camera type of content for such a long time, and I'm actually taking this show on the road and trying to do more vlog lifestyle type things. But it takes a lot of energy, but a different type of energy, and I just really wanted to focus on getting one of them done. One of them is almost done now, and then once that gets like kind of completed and I figure out my flow there, hopefully that becomes a more regular part of my channel. I would love to stop sitting in front of a camera like this. I like doing it sometimes, but I don't want it to be the only type of content I do. Not to mention, so many of my videos now are talking about a lifestyle and a mindset shift, and I feel like I can only sit here and talk about it for so long. Like, I have to show you guys what it looks like. So if you guys watch a more recent video where I talked about home rituals, love rituals, beauty rituals, health rituals, I want to start making dedicated videos about those rituals. Let me know if you have any particular ideas surrounding that. I'm very nervous and also very excited about it, but there is a lot of stuff coming, you guys. I have a huge announcement coming on September 15th. I can't wait to tell you guys about. Lots of cool stuff in general, so just stay tuned. All that being said, let's get into this video. So today's video is going to be kind of a follow-up sequel style video to one that I posted a few months ago about relationships. It was called How to Be a Dream Girl. It was called How to Get a Man to Do Anything You Want. Basically, the video was like how to talk to men, how to get your needs met with men without fighting, because I just don't believe in that. And I have reasons for it. I'll get into some more of them today because there seemed to be some confusion about what I was talking about on the video, but nonetheless, that video did really well. Lots of people wanted to follow up, and here we are. This video and all videos like it are coming from a certain position that I have called the high maintenance energy vibe. All the information you need about that is down below. So coming into this cold, some of the stuff I'm saying might sound really ridiculous or hard to digest, and you're just not ready for this message. If that's the case, and that's okay. I wasn't ready for this either for a long time, which you'll find out as we get started. But the truth is, my goal is not to dog anyone out or shame your relationship or whatever. I just think that I have something to offer in this conversation, particularly if you feel like your relationships, and I should also clarify, your heterosexual relationships with heterosexual men. That's all I know about, honestly. Like, obviously you're welcome no matter what, and I'm sure I'm gonna have some pearls of wisdom thrown in here that are universally true, but ultimately I am talking about the relationships between a heterosexual woman and a heterosexual man. So just to be clear on that, that's the perspective I'm coming from. So a lot of like kind of my general like blanket rules about dealing with men is in that first video that I did. Again, down below, up above, it's linked somewhere, go watch it. But to summarize the most important parts of that video, I will say that despite some of the pushback I got on that video, which I thought the conversation in the video was predominantly positive, as always, I feel very blessed for that. But one thing that I got a lot of kind of resistance on was this whole don't chase a man thing I said. Some people felt like, which I said in the video, I know people think that the concept of as a woman you don't chase a man automatically puts people in a very defensive position because they feel that idea is outdated. They feel like, I think they felt shamed. They felt like I was calling them desperate. Or they felt like showing interest and chasing are the same thing, and they're not. So I just want to clarify. If you are a woman and you are interested in a man, do not pursue him. I don't really know how else to explain this to you. And I know there's going to be people in the comment section who are like, well, I pursued my man. We've been together for 5 years. Awesome. I totally believe it's possible. But overall, it's not a good strategy. It's just not. In fact, every single one of you watching this video, if you're watching this video, then you have acknowledged that you need to learn something about relationships. I don't know why else you would be here. So please accept that you have you can learn something from this. Just because it doesn't sit right with you initially, or it sounds even like maybe counterintuitive, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Again, if you're here, you're acknowledging that relationships aren't really going the way you want them to. So you have to ask yourself, like, how are my beliefs around relationships working for me? And I'm going to break down this chasing thing the best way I know how, and this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I think it needs to be said. So in 2021, it's safe to say that every move you make or every decision you make, you might feel pressure to kind of comply to a bigger political conversation, especially if your politics and the way you want to live your life on the surface do not seem like they connect. And here's what I mean by that. I am a feminist, okay? But I also do not believe in chasing men. A lot of people in that last video got confused and thought that somehow to be a feminist means you must be willing to pursue men. My feminist belief system has nothing to do with my relationships, and that's a big piece of advice I could give you guys. Huge piece of advice I could give you guys. It's important to have a cause. It's important to care about the world and all that stuff. But my politics, for the most part, are ones that are centered around helping other people, that are centered around getting rights for other people. It's got nothing to, it has something to do with me. So it doesn't make sense to me that my politics would come into my relationship, because my relationship is for me. I do not have to be a walking emblem, a walking billboard for everything I believe all the time. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's realistic, actually. Despite what algorithms have trained your brain to believe, nobody is any one thing all the time. But in my experience, trying to bring those beliefs into my romantic life, particularly because I am attracted to men, has been very difficult and resulted in nothing positive. Obviously, to be clear, I have to be with a man who would respect me, love me, cherish me, care for me. I'm not going to be in an abusive relationship, not anymore. And even still, I've actually been a feminist my whole life and was in lots of unhealthy relationships. I thought my feminist ideologies were actually going to protect me in a relationship, but it didn't. It actually made it worse. So I don't think that being a feminist has anything to do with the type of men you end up with, because you can be a feminist and be in unhealthy relationships with men. It's just very, very possible. You need to focus on picking the right men. And then once you pick the right men, you shouldn't need to have this I need to fight with this man attitude. And that's kind of like why in the video I said, don't pursue men and don't fight with them, because that's a fighting, competitive energy that you're engaging in with men. And they do that with each other. Men don't want to compete with women. They don't want to compete. And again, I'm not talking about politics, okay? We can get into the workplace stuff. We can get into healthcare stuff. We can get into government stuff. We can talk about that all day, and that's a very valid conversation. Not what we're talking about. We're talking about why you can't get Greg from HR to take you on a second date. We got to deal with one thing at a time. And in my experience with men, the more relaxed of an energy you bring around them, the better they respond to it. Period. Because men, for the most part, or at least the men I'm attracted to, the men I want to be with, the kind of men I'm attracted to are the ones who are out there working and hustling and building and growing. That is what I like. Those men get enough of that in the real world. You need to be a place a man comes to that is restful, that is calm, that is peaceful. And trust me, I did not used to be this way. You could probably get a hold of any one of my ex-boyfriends and they would say, I was the exact opposite of what I'm telling you now. This is why I'm telling you I learned it from experience. In my relationships, they were predominantly toxic. Sometimes the other person was the toxic one. Sometimes I was. Sometimes we both were. But I can own my role in it. My role in it has always been a role that was kind of anchored in this, I'm a girl, but I'm a tough girl, and you can't, and I can be like a guy, so because I'm like a guy, you can't hurt me. That was kind of the whole thing, and a lot of women take that into their relationships. They take that into the entire vibe of the way they interact with men. That goes back to what I was saying too about the pursuing and the fighting. These are competitive, dominating energies to try to take on with a man. Think about the animal kingdom. you see antelope and stuff, or deer, for example, locking horns because they're fighting each other. It's two bucks that are doing that. If you see in the wild, you know, one animal pursuing the other, it's the man, the buck pursuing the doe. Those are male energies. And when we do those things in other areas of our life, like with our careers and things like that, it works out great. But again, your relationship with your man and everything else needs to be separate. You need to give it the respect that it deserves. And that brings me to my next point about relationships. Women really need to get real with themselves about if they actually want a relationship, because I think so many girls and women are running around here with relationship problems, but all of them can be solved if they would just be honest with themselves about whether or not they actually want one or not. Especially as you get older, and especially as relationships have the potential to become more serious, because all relationships are going one of two places. It's either going to end or it's not. Like you're dating someone, you're either going to break up or you're going to get married or whatever kind of long-term commitment thing you want. And that's always the inevitability there. So when you're young and like you're a kid, this really doesn't apply to me. If you're in your teens and your early 20s, you guys should be dating, figuring out what you like. Learn your lessons, though. I will tell you that. Learn something. But overall, a lot of women, I don't think, are actually honest with themselves about whether or not they want a relationship. And because they're not living in that truth, they're making choices about relationships that aren't actually serving them. And they think the problem is men, and they think the problem is relationships. But the problem is you are always the common denominator in all problems in your life. So like, what do I mean by women aren't honest with themselves? This is something I saw a lot in my 20s. Obviously, I don't see this very much now. I mean, sometimes I do, but it manifests differently the older you get. But I definitely saw this in my 20s, and I'm willing to bet it's even worse now for girls in their 20s. But I used to be a girl who would get in a relationship with a guy and say, I don't care if it's serious. I don't care. We could just like see how it goes. I never meant that. I might have meant it in the beginning when I was just getting to know a guy, but by month 4, I don't mean that shit at all, but I would say it and I would think I meant it. And then when the guy would just keep telling me he wanted to keep seeing me, but he didn't want to make it too serious, but like he didn't want to lose me, but like I'm such a great girl, but he just wants to keep it casual, but like he still wants to see me all the... These are just all things that help you rationalize dysfunctional behaviors and thought patterns that result in you ultimately being in conflict with yourself. So again, I'm sitting here being told by this guy, like, no, things are like so good the way they are now. Like we have so much fun and I like really like you, but I don't want a girlfriend. And my brain at the time went into some like defense mode and was like, no, that's cool. I don't want one either. I don't want a relationship either. Like totally fine keeping things chill. I was not fine. I was not chill. So what would happen is I would get in these half relationships with guys that would go on for like a year. Every single one went on for like a year. A whole year of this back and forth with fighting with this guy, with me trying to like control the relationship and get it to hit certain targets when I wanted them to hit, and him, jerking me around and me totally running back for more every single time. But all the while saying, I would tell him I don't want a relationship, but also I'm trying to force a relationship. Like that's what I'm saying. You need to figure out what you want, because at the end of the day, man, what I would have told 20-year-old, 24, 25-year-old Whitney about relationships is that they're not all they're cracked up to be. I mean, they are, but it's kind of like getting a puppy. In that everyone sees the puppy and it's so cute and puppy breath and oh my god, we love it so much. Side note, does anyone else love puppy breath? Because I cannot be the only one. Everyone in my life thinks it's disgusting and I freaking love it. But yeah, everyone loves the puppy. Everyone thinks the puppy is so cute, but then you get them home, they destroy your house, they're not letting you sleep at night, they're stopping you from all the everything you used to do every day has become more cumbersome and difficult. So knowing what you want would be crucial in the dating period. If you say you want a relationship, you need to ask yourself what that means. If it means I want someone to take cute pumpkin patch pictures with in October, and I want someone to hang out with on boring Wednesday nights, and I just want someone to cuddle with, like those things are great, but that is such a small part of that part of the relationship that you envision goes on for a very small portion of time compared to hopefully the life of the relationship. A lot of people get their judgment gets very clouded in that time period, and they mistake chemistry and passion and lust for like a connection. And then when all that stuff fades and they're left fighting with each other, they just think the solution is to go get another relationship, when really it's like, that stuff is not the reality of the relationship part. Those are fun things that will hopefully be present in your relationship again throughout the duration of it, but that's not really what you're signing up for. And I think once people kind of get faced with that, that's when they start to think that the problem is men and relationships. It could very well be you and your expectations of relationships and kind of what you've been sold they're meant to do for you and the role they're supposed to play in your life. I think if people could get really real about what a relationship actually is, it would probably solve most of their dating problems, because you might realize you are not even ready for one yet, and you would go running, screaming in the other direction of your situationship, or at the very least, you'd have a sense of humor about the situationship because you realize the actual potential of it to go the distance, and maybe you'll even realize the potential you have to be a healthy and good partner to someone. Because like I said, when I think back on my past relationships, I can give you a million reasons why the guys I dated were total turd bucket. But they could easily say the same thing about me, because I was a pain in the ass. Like, there's no denying it. I know I was. I was like that to my husband for a long time too, also because I didn't learn anything. I just kept thinking I should be able to act the same way in every relationship, and the right person for me will accept me no matter what, which is another huge relationship like lie they're out here telling you. No one is going to love you no matter what. You don't even love people no matter what. Outside of your kids, I'm sorry. I don't think you should love. You can love people, but maybe you even got to love them from afar. You cannot demand just fidelity, commitment, energy, time, money, all that stuff that goes into long-term relationships, which I've just said is a lot of work. You cannot realistically expect that from another person no matter what, because that tells me if you truly believe that, then you accept them no matter, and you shouldn't. People go to the comment section and be like, that's a terrible thing to say. It's not a terrible thing to say. It's a lie. It's a full-blown lie that I think is a lie that leads to expectations that people have in relationships. They get in them, find out that's not what it actually is, and it results in people, again, swearing off relationships and swearing off men, which if that's your journey, that's fine. I think it sounds really comforting, this idea of someone loving you no matter what, but that really lowers the bar for behavior in relationships. A lot of people, it's so clear, a lot of people truly believe their relationship is some reward they get for having a bad life. And the reward is that they get to have someone to take it out on for the rest of their days. This person has to be here with me, live in this house with me, no matter what. It sounds like a trick to me. It does not sound like a goal. So no matter what for me means like, within reason. There should be like a little asterisk there, because my husband is a saint in that he does love me no matter what, when I have not been very easy to love, but it is by chance, and the fact that he must have seen something in me and he saw the potential and he saw that I could get through all my trauma and stuff in my past that had really turned me into, quite frankly, an unlikable person. He must have seen something in me to stick it out with me, because a lot of other people wouldn't have, and I wouldn't have blamed him. I don't know if I would have. Truthfully, I don't know if I would have put up with someone who put me through what I put him through. And that's where the danger of the love me no matter what stuff comes into play. I think on some level, maybe I had bought into that idea as well. And when my relationship wasn't like that, I thought the relationship was the problem. I thought, and a lot of women do this too, this goes back to the losing yourself thing. We talk about losing ourselves on this channel a lot, and losing yourself once you get into a relationship is like a thing. It's a phenomenon. I think it stems from so many places. But I think on some level, if we really sat down and thought about it, it stems from the fact that we believe we won. We got a relationship. Now we don't have to try anymore. All this working out and going after our dreams and having a vibrant social life and having friends and hobbies, all that stuff was just for show until I met a boyfriend. Now he has to sit here and stay home with me all the time because he loves me and that's how I know I'm loved. Like, that is so unhealthy. And so many people live their relationships this way. So many people think a relationship is just something you check off your task list and then it's just, you drag it around with you for the rest of your life. It's not supposed to be that. The reason my perspective on relationships has changed so much is because I've grown so much inside of mine in such a healthy and positive way. I am with someone who I truly respect, value, admire. Like, I look up to my husband. I know some people might think that's cringe. I don't really care. He's a very admirable person in this world, like, to look up to. And because of that, I feel so restful in my life and in my relationship with him now, because I've done the work I needed to do and I can now see him for what it is. Now, this might not last forever. My marriage might not last forever. Any number of things could not last forever. You could get your dream job tomorrow and it could be over 3 years from then, but nobody ever says don't go after your job. It's just relationships. Again, this is what I'm saying. People put these weird expectations on relationships and want them to look and act like everything else in life, but they are not. And that's why they're so special when they work. That's why people keep doing this, because they see ones that work and that's what they want. But what people don't understand is that they work almost by sheer luck, unless the people in it are very conscious of what they're doing. So in other words, you might just have two well-adjusted, healthy people who find each other. They're their yin to their yang. That could just be a luck of the draw. Or you might have a relationship where two people love each other but can't seem to conquer their issues. You have to work at that. That's the work part. And the hardest part is, if you truly want to be successful in a relationship, you have to face yourself. Giving up on your relationships in some ways can just be giving up on yourself. You're not willing to make the change. You're not willing to grow in that direction. And sometimes you shouldn't have to. For the wrong relationship, people asking you to grow and change and be something you're not ready to be is a bad idea. But with the right people, the right circumstances, and only you can know this. There is no one size fits all to this, but only you can know when you have found all the right elements and it is safe and it is okay to fully bring all of you into this relationship, because it is extremely rewarding. But it's not going to be rewarding with the wrong person. So about the whole don't fight with people thing, I want to talk about that for a second. This video is all over the place. I know it, and I'm sorry. But fighting, to me, I just want to be clear, is not standing up for yourself. Fighting is not communicating your needs. Fighting is not being assertive. Just like pursuit is not showing interest. I can look at a guy across the room, smile at him, let him know I'm open. I can like a couple pictures on Instagram, let him know I'm noticing him. But that's not the same thing as showing up at his job with flowers. That's pursuing. I'm not saying women are actually doing that, but y'all are doing stuff like cooking. I did this too. Oh, when I think about this one really bothers me. I cooked a full-blown meatloaf dinner for a guy who I was in a situationship with for a year. I don't know why. I guess you think on some level it's going to earn you points. It just makes you look desperate. You're putting way too much energy into them. They should be doing those things for you. And when you cook for them and you do nice things for them, it's more like a reward for good behavior for them. You don't do that to get them, ever. It's a bad idea, because you do not want to spend your life trying to grand gesture a man. I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to be with a man who wants me to do it either. So we're just not right for each other. But the same thing goes with fighting. Lately, my go-to move, and this is something my husband really had to be patient with me about, because my house was full of fighting growing up. All my relationships were full of fighting. So you better believe I brought that into this marriage, and he was not having it. Thank God. If I would have been with someone who would have had the same issues as me, I would in no way have evolved the way that I have. I happen to be a very healthy, patient person. But he just was, from the very beginning, he thought that was really odd and unusual. And there is no point to it. It got us nowhere. The only thing that gets me anywhere with my husband is when I am sweet and affectionate and sexy and funny and cute. I get my way 100 times out of 100 when I'm like that with him. And I can say what I have to say in any one of those ways. I can say what I want in a funny way. I can say what I want in a cute way. I can say what I want in a sexy way. I can say it however I want in that wheelhouse, and I will get what I want 100 times out of 100. No one had to yell. No one had to fight. And not only that, he was happy to do it for me. Couldn't wait to do it for me. Now, if we truly reach an impasse and are having like a serious issue where fighting is coming into play, then that's a whole different story. But day to day, like on the regs, I don't fight with him no more. My new go-to move is like, okay, bye. I just like walk out until everyone calms down and you can talk to me like the precious wife that I am. I'm not going, no. That goes back to the love me no matter what thing. When you're in relationships where it's like, well, you're married to me, so no matter how toxic I am, you just have to put up with it. Like, don't have that energy. Don't have it in either direction, because it does not work for anyone. Everyone in the relationship needs to understand that and it's almost like people will treat total strangers better than they'll treat the people they care about. They'll have more respect, more consideration. They'll watch their tone. They'll watch their language. The minute they get with the person that is supposedly the most important person in their life that they love more than anything, all bets are off. And that's what I mean when I say I think some people just want someone to take all their anger at the world out on. And that's truly what they believe. They believe they're owed that. That's what relationships are. None of that, please. Don't fight with them if you can avoid it. Honestly, I've never been in a fight with someone and it helped my relationship. And if I ever have gotten what I wanted from a man from fighting, they resented me for it. One way or the other, they will resent you, and you don't want that. Your relationship should be like fun and sexy and cute. It should be like this place you go to, this own little special world that you're in. You don't get there by force and screaming and demanding. You get there by creating a comfortable, warming environment for someone to come into with you willingly. Think about it almost like magic, if you will. You get them there on their own volition, and they not only will do what you want, but they'll love you for it. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at the top of the video. There is a time and a place for fighting and screaming and banging our, hand. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. There is a time and a place for it. If it's your relationship, you need to get out of the relationship. That is such a waste of your time and energy. This is not the way it's supposed to be. I don't care what's been modeled for you. I don't care how it worked out for your friend. I don't care what happened with your mom. I don't care what your favorite movie is and how it worked out on that. That is not what a healthy relationship is. And a negative, toxic relationship will ruin your life. It will. If you don't believe me, spend about 10 minutes on like Dr. Phil or Maury Povich and tell me I'm wrong. Like, people will drag you around with them for years if you don't have some kind of like philosophy that you move in your relationships. And mine, like I said, is very high maintenance energy status. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the video down below. But it helps me make decisions in this place now. They don't come from like this desperate, scared, please love me, I need to be loved by you thing. Like, no. Relationships are great and wonderful, and I think they can lead to a very happy, well-lived, fulfilled life. But with the wrong person, they are never worth 1 second of the time. And that's the last thing I want to talk about is the wrong person. Who is the right and wrong person for you? Women, okay? I'm talking to y'all specifically. Y'all need to learn when it's wrong. And all toxic relationships think they're so unique. All bad relationships think that like their story was written in the stars and it was meant to be because of all this struggle and we'll still together after all this time. Okay, girl, listen, have at it. Have it, do you, it's fine. But some people don't want to live that way. Some people just don't think there's any other way to live. Some people just are so invested in mistakes they've been making for a long time that they don't want to stop making them. You need to recognize when someone's not right for you. And also you need to understand that that doesn't say anything about you. I think some women believe that if a relationship, I'll give a really good example, okay? I was in a relationship with a guy at one point who, how do I say this? So I managed to stay friends with a few of my exes for a long time after we broke up. Exes broke up. This one I was unable to stay friends with because at the end of the day, I actually just didn't even like him as a person. I truly didn't. I stayed in that situationship because I was preoccupied with him liking me. Relationships for me for a long time were almost a battle of wills because just to like totally put my shit on Front Street. My relationship with my dad didn't look the way that I wanted it to. I couldn't make that happen. So I was going to do it with any other man that I came in contact with. It was like a challenge to me more than anything. Super toxic. And that was apparent in how I ran my relationships, like I'm trying to tell you. But anyway, I didn't actually like this guy. I wanted him to like me. I wanted to be able to say that after everything I went through with him, that I finally got him to commit. That's again, that gotcha thing. Gotcha. You got to be careful about where that ego energy is coming from in your relationships, because that's really what it was about for me. Because God forbid I would have gotten what I wanted with that man, because again, I didn't even actually like him. He was the wrong person for me. I'm not saying he's a bad person in general. I'm not saying that the woman he ended up with, anything is wrong with her. That's the right person for her. He was objectively the wrong person for me in every single way, but I couldn't let that just be a fact. I had to make that about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be aware when you're doing stuff like that. That's the biggest cheat code that I can give you, because some women are so determined to prove to themselves that they can get a man to love them, that they don't care what man it is. And more often than not, they'll fixate on one man. I know women who have done this with men for like 10, 12, 13 years, and they're happy to do it. And it's just like, again, if it's working for you, cool. I truly believe some people need that. Some people are truly only happy if their life is in that kind of, if their relationships are kind of unstable, like they just don't like it any other way. That's cool, man. If that's you, it is not me. Honestly, if you're watching this channel, I hope it's not you either, because I like to think like attracts like, and the type of people who really want that kind of up and down drama stuff, those are the people who don't want to actually make progress in life. They just really like this relationship distraction. They purposefully get with the wrong people so that they can create this little drama world they get to live in and not have to focus on anything else. Y'all weren't ready for that truth, because I know you know like about 10 people like that. Lots of people live their entire romantic relationships out that way. We don't want to do it. All right, guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was very off the top of the dome. Didn't have any notes. Hope that it made sense. But it was more kind of a response to my last relationship video. And I've just been thinking a lot about this stuff, particularly the thing I talked about at the top with feminism and relationships, and kind of how I think if we're not careful, we can shoot ourselves in the foot as far as our romantic relationships are concerned. So anyway, as always, thank you to the patrons. We recently did our book club meeting for the final girl support group. The new book club will be announced today. Today is September 1st, and I will announce it. It's a book called People Like Her. It's a story about parasocial relationships, social media, influencers, mommy bloggers, intrigue. It's kind of got this weird Gone Girl style twist at the end. It's a really good book. So if you guys are interested, read it no matter what, but definitely come read it with us. All that being said, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.